Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, sampler platter video series of videos I would do for the while. I work over there, try out food and drink items. I eat the stuff, I drink stuff. Then, folks, I'm going to talk about the stuff. I'm going to let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, yeah, water everywhere. Let's all have a drink. But what if it wasn't water? What if it was root beer instead? Well, first of all, it would be way more delicious, but counterpoint, you'd almost certainly get some sort of diabetes or sugar poisoning or something as a result of drinking that much. Still be worth it, though. But anyway, I got a Peter Can Thunderbolt poster behind me, I got a crappy old ladder off to the side, I got some Marvel figures up there, and we're in a cool shirt, folks. When I wear a cool shirt, I like to highlight the shirt, even when it's like 1:30 in the morning at the time I'm doing this. And, what cool shirt am I wearing, folks? Well, boom! We're doing Psycho Kickboxer shirt, which is the one that I've done for this little round of videos. I think between this and the other ones, something like 7 videos with the Psycho Kickboxer shirt. But if you don't know, Psycho Kickboxer, it's a martial arts movie from it's the mid-90s, starring 4-time world kickboxing champion, Mr. Curtis Bush. And this was actually like a passion project of his. You know, he grew up watching action movies, wanted to, go over there and do that himself. So he got the money together. It was like a low-budget film, but he made it happen. And it's a lot of fun if you enjoy these type of movies. It's pretty obscure. Sometimes cited as a horror film. It's not a horror film. There are some gore effects at times, but it's definitely not a horror movie. And I got through watching it not too long ago, and it turns out there's a website that sells a shirt for it. But anyway, folks, that aside, what am I trying for y'all today? Well, I brought up root beer because, well, folks, I'm doing a root beer review. We're doing, boom! It is, Dublin, Texas root beer, craft soda. Welcome to Dublin, Texas. So does that mean it's from, it's caffeine free. It's very low sodium. They use pure cane sugar, so I appreciate that. Always made with pure cane sugar. Since 1891, so this has been around. Well, specifically Dublin Bottling Works. So I guess it's from a town called Dublin, and I'm guessing Texas. Yeah, Dublin, Texas. I had no idea that there was a city in Texas called Dublin. But Texas is a really big state, so Texas is also a state that's big on flavor, so I'm hoping that this is fantastic. I love root beer, folks. I love root beer. I've done root beer reviews. I'm a big fan. But here's the thing. I'm specific in what I like for my root beer. I like a root beer that has bite, and it has a level of complexity to the flavor. And the example that I always go over there and use, there's sort of 2 camps in terms of commercial root beer. On the one hand, you have like Mug and AMW, which are very sweet root beers, good for use in, like root beer floats and stuff like that. But they're very sweet. They're very, I feel, lacking in bite and complexity. They're fine. They have their place, but they're not my personal favorites. Then on the other hand, you have Barks and you have Dads, which are both really, much darker in flavor. They have bite. They have a lot of stuff going on. They're not the most commercial root beers that are available, even though they're, both still semi-prominent. So I'm hoping that this will lean more on that end of things, but we'll have to see what Texas has to offer. Let's give it a shot, folks. Are you a twist-off? Yes, you are. I should note I got this from a place called Rocket Fizz in St. Charles, Illinois. It's my original hometown. Sadly, it wasn't there while I lived there, but it is now. And they're like a soda and candy shop. They sell specialty stuff, so. And whenever I go there, I always get at least 1 root beer. This was my root beer of choice this time around. Okay. I have high hopes, folks, because that was a nice smell of root beer. I could smell. It's sweet. It's going to be a sweet root beer, which is fine. Sweet isn't bad. Just you need to have things to go with it. It's going to be a sweet root beer, I'm guessing. But I'm guessing there's going to be some complexity there because I could smell the flavors. Please be good. Ooh. Ooh. Of course, I'm not going to get like an actual thing. I like this a lot. Man, I'm down with this. Root beer happy dance. I am super down with this. Dublin, Texas, you know what the fuck you're talking about. This is some bomb ass root beer right here. Now here's the thing. It's a bomb ass root beer by my scale. Flat out, if you're more of an A&W person, more of a mug person, I don't think you're going to be too down with this. It is still a sweet root beer, for sure. But it's got a lot going on, and I appreciate that. One of the things I appreciate, so originally, root beer was flavored with this stuff called sassafras. But then there was a study that happened where it was like, oh no, it turns out that sassafras might cause cancer. So they stopped using it. Fair enough. Only problem was that the study was done by the cola companies, who at the time were worried that root beer was going over there and beginning to take away some of their market share. And subsequently, it seems pretty unlikely that sassafras is all that harmful to you. In fact, it was used as like a medicinal thing before that. I'm not saying I'm not a doctor, but I'm just saying. So now, although some do use like sassafras oil and stuff like that, they've had to do different things to go over there and flavor it, which is part of the reason why you get such a wide range of root beers. With this one, I'm guessing they used a little bit of birch. So if you're not familiar with birch beer is sort of like a cousin to root beer, and it's derived from birch trees. And it has like this sort of cooling, almost menthol-like taste to it. This kind of has that a little bit. So it's got like a root beer base, it's sweet, but then you have this hit of something similar to sort of a birch beer, or if not birch beer, something sort of almost licoricey or anisey. Now that could throw some people off. That's a very divisive flavor. I'm a big fan. I was the weird kid who, when the teacher would pass out jelly beans, to all the students, I would take the big giant black ones. Out of context. But, so I'm a fan. I like this a lot. I mean, straight up, this is not going to be a root beer for everybody. I think even if you are more on the spectrum of like Barks and Dads, this might not be exactly to your taste because, again, I think it's definitely its own root beer for sure. I think if you're a fan of Dad's root beer, I think that this could work for you. Or conversely, if you're more a fan of like craft root beers, like Virgil's, for instance, is a favorite of mine, I think that maybe you could go with this because it has, that root beer taste, but then there's also prominent other flavors. I don't think it's as complex as something like Virgil's. Virgil's is like what I consider to be like a sipping root beer, where you don't want to take like a big hit of it. You want to sip it, kind of let the flavors move around in your mouth. This isn't quite that. This definitely plays out best when you're drinking it back and you're getting like a constant stream of flavor. This is definitely that kind of root beer. But at the same time, I like the level of complexity that it has. And it's somewhat similar to Dad's in that like it has a root beer flavor, but then it also has this very prominent other flavor that kind of gives it its personality. And with Dad's, there's almost like an interesting, almost like a smokiness to it. It's a very, very distinct tasting root beer. This is kind of like that, but instead of like the sort of smoky flavor to it, like I said, it has almost like a birch or like an aniseed kind of flavor to it. That's got to have birch. Because it has this cooling aspect to it. That's got to have some birch in it. This is a really good root beer for me. Now that said, folks, two questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it to people? 100% would get it again. Like I said, I mean, when I go to Rocket Fizz, I always get a root beer. I typically try to try new root beers, but I will occasionally go back, to ones that I've liked. This is one I'll go back to because this just hits for me. It's sweet, but not overly sweet. It has a little bit of a bite to it, not as much as other ones that I've had, but there's enough there. And then it just has this interesting flavor profile that gives it a really unique personality that, for me, it feels like a cross between a root beer and a birch beer. And I like both of those things, and I really like this. So I'm very down with this. As to if I would recommend it to other people, like I said before, yes, but you have to definitely fall into that one camp. Certain root beers are good for like intermediaries, like I did a review not too long ago. Go watch the video of some 1901 root beer. That was a good like in between root beer. It had some of the advantages of both of the camps, and it could almost be like a bridge point type of root beer. This is not that. This is firmly in one camp. And if you're not attuned to that, if that's not your style of root beer, I don't think this is going to be for you. But I do think that if you are more of a Barks person, more of a Dad's person, this is absolutely worth picking up and checking out. I can't promise you're going to like it because I do think it has certain flavors that maybe aren't for everybody. But for me, this is a really good root beer. So, maybe not like top 10, but like at least top 20. At least top 20 of the root beers that I've had. And trust me, I've had enough root beers to have a top 20 and then some. I like this a lot. But anyway, folks, that's going to do it for me on this one. 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of the day, spectacular rest of the week, monumental rest of the month, stupendous rest of the year, and folks, you can go over there and have yourselves a truly Dublin, Texas rest of your life, because that's Irish and Texan. That guy's going to whip your ass in a fight. That's just going to happen. If you pick a fight from anybody from Dublin, Texas, they're going to kick your ass all over the place. Maybe not if you're, 4-time kickboxing champion Curtis Bush. I'm just saying, but, you're going to still put up a good fight. Final 2 things, folks. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what do you do if you can't do it all the time? I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. It's not always the easiest thing in the world to do, folks. It's just not. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it. But take a step back. Try to mitigate the level of assholishness in your lives when you find yourselves in situations where you might be gearing towards assholishness. Try to do better for yourself and for those around you. All I'm saying. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, maybe you're going to watch this video that I've done here today. Maybe you're going to go out and you're going to treasure yourself some Dublin, Texas root beer, as I have done. Maybe you're going to like it so much, you're going to go to Dublin, Texas. Maybe you're going to go over there, you can go to a soda bar, I guess, whatever Dublin, Texas has. You're going to go over there and you're going to order yourself up some of this delicious stuff. And it's going to be delicious, it's going to be wonderful, but then when you're going up to go use the washroom, you're going to accidentally spill some on a fellow patron. And they're going to go over there, they're going to be all Irishy and Texany, and, it's going to be some sort of a hoedown and a hootenanny, and, there might be Irish music going on. It's going to be a whole thing. And at the end of the day, you're going to get your ass whipped. But you'll have had yourself some delicious root beer, and you'll have made friends along the way. So there you go. Or conversely, just, go out and buy yourself some really nice root beer. There's lots of really great stuff available. Some are from Dublin, Texas. Bye.